What up, y'all? Y'all already know what it is. It's Jesse J back at you, man. Hit the bell at the bottom. Like and subscribe, man. I'm going to have a lot of shit. I'm going to be rocking. Rock with me. Y'all bugging. Like, rock with me, man. Yo, on another note, rest in peace, George Floyd, man. Man, life is so short. You just don't know sometime. Man. But, today I'm coming at you again. I wanted to highlight y'all, talk to y'all. No, I tell y'all, smoke y'all weed. Y'all know I'm about to do the hold on before we do that. You gotta get yourself right before you start talking. The waves ain't really in there like they could be, but we'll get it together. You know how that go. But on another note, today I just want to talk about why mental health is so important. We sleep on our shit. Mental health is everything. I'm 33 years old. I witnessed so much trauma growing up since a kid all the way up to my adult life. So, it was important for me to seek out and get help. I seeked out. I got help. I built relationships. I'm very funny. I'm somebody I'm the type of person, I'm not really big on talking my business to people. So once I build a connection with you, that's kind of it. I don't want to, it's hard for me to, how some people, they just tell their business to anybody. I'm just not that person. I don't know, whatever. I do a lot of internal bleeding because I keep a lot of things in and less than express them. Or sometimes I can overly express them and be extra. I don't know, maybe that's just a Gemini thing. You know what I mean? Maybe that's just what it is. But I got a couple questions my people asked me to talk about. One of them is why it is important to let go. Me personally, it's easy for me to leave people alone. I've like I said, I've experienced so much growing up that when it's time to let go, it's time to let go. You know what I'm saying? Especially friends, whoever. I'm okay with that. It doesn't, and I don't have any bad feeling towards you. If me and you stop rocking, we just stop rocking. It's nothing personal. We just wasn't, it just didn't fit. It's okay. I'm okay with that. And I just move on, and when I move on, I move on. From relationships too. If I move on I just move on. I change numbers. I delete your number. I just delete you out of my life. It's easy. I've people that I love so much hurt me so much. You get what I'm saying? So that's why it's so easy for me. You get what I'm saying? It's easy. What's another thing? How do I deal with depression? I shop. I do things, I buy things that I probably shouldn't buy, whatever. But I just look at it like, man, we only get one life. We don't get 50,000 lives. We just get one being. And when we come out, we got to make the best of this shit while we here. Gotta smoke your weed, too. Definitely gotta smoke your weed, man. Because when they said one spliff a day, keep the evil away, shit was real shit. But, yeah, that's how I deal with depression. I buy shit I ain't supposed to buy. I lost my grandmother 2 months ago. It was very hard to transition and not being able to bury her and not be able to just tell her goodbye. That hurt the most. You know what I mean? I don't know. I live this fairy tale fantasy world that people are going to live forever. Sometimes, I don't know. Am I the only person that thinks like this? I'm not the only person that thinks like this. There's something about when a grandmother leaves, everything dies. Man, it's crazy. But see, it was a little different. My grandmother was more like my mom. You know what I mean? She meant a lot to me. So, I took it hard. I indulged in alcohol for about 2 weeks, and then I just didn't feel good. I didn't feel good. I was trying to do these push-ups. I was overly doing them. I was hurting my chest. Man, it was a lot of things I was experiencing. I had 2 little girls around me at that time, and I had to fake around them. It was very hard. It was hard, man. And then on top of this whole pandemic shit, I lost my aunt my Aunt Christine, it all made me reflect on my child life. When you get to a certain age, you'll reflect on, and especially if you're hard-headed like me. I was hard-headed. Nothing could get through to me. But I grew up, once again, with a lot of trauma. It was a little different. I had a father that verbally abused me. Physically, mentally, and verbally. And, being a kid, a lot of times mothers think that, oh, I don't want to keep them away from their pops because I don't want to look like I feel some type of way. But a lot of times in these situations, sometimes certain fathers, they can't get past certain things. You get what I'm saying? It's like, if I was ever around my father as a kid, it was because my mother felt like she didn't want to feel like she was pushing me away. And you being a kid, everybody wants a father. No matter who you are. You're like, man, I grew up playing basketball. Imagine growing up playing basketball in an audience and, you playing ball. You see all the different fathers come, supportive people come, whether it's brothers, whatever the case may be. See, I didn't have that. And I was okay with it until... When wasn't I not okay with it? I think I had to be okay with it. Growing up in a black home, single parent mom, you have no other choice. You can't feel for people that you don't know. But on another note, my father, I had to get help. And in the mix of me getting help, I had to really look at all sides. I couldn't blame for him for his actions and how he was raised and the different experiences that he experienced. I was selfish for a long time about it because it was hard for me. It was hard for me. He wasn't a good guy. He wasn't somebody that I felt like, you have these men out here that only fuck with their kids when their moms is fucking with them. Let's really talk about it. You know what I mean? Only fucking with your kids because of. See, being a kid, you want it, but sometimes the things you want can hurt you. And that's just realistically. You get what I'm saying? And, it can play on your mind as you become an adult. You can become an adult, have somebody mentally, verbally abuse you, and you take that into your relationships thinking that there's nothing wrong with what you're doing. And like, it's nothing wrong. Like, oh, I don't think and I think for a second I went through that experience, in relationships, and you get what I'm saying, dealing with different, but that's for another time. We're going to talk about that at another time. We're not going to talk about that right now, though. We're going to stay on topic. But I deal with depression because the way I deal with depression is I go buy things I know I'm not supposed to buy. And because I do it to make myself happy. I'm aware that we only have one life. You know what I mean? So it's like, man, fuck it. Do you? Because things can change. Life can change. And what you going to say? Oh, yeah, I ain't buy that because, that costs, a certain amount or whatever. But it's like in reality, man, you can't take shit with you when it's time to go. Man, I can't cover so much in this little bit of time, but it's so much like I asked my best friend, like, yo, what's some things you think we should talk about? And she was just, one of them was like, what we do when we down. Let me tell you, I can't express enough to you how many times I fell off and got back up. You get what I'm saying? I probably fell off for good. In my 33 years of living, I fell off twice. And for some reason, I always manage to come through those times when I fall off. Like, I get through. People be like, I done had old friends look at me like, how she get through? And envy that. You get what I'm saying? Envy that I can move forward. Envy that, like, damn, how the fuck she be broke and then be up? Like, you know what I mean? But some of that hustle gotta be in you. You get what I'm saying? It gotta be in you. And unfortunately, it was in me. You get what I'm saying? And Yeah, man, like that's what we on, because we've been, black, us being black, we've been down for too long, you know what I'm saying? But what we gotta do is we gotta stick together. We got to come together and get involved with these young kids and get involved, in the school districts and stuff like that. My mother always told me, be the change you want to see. We can have all these opinions and all these things. You know, we can have deep feelings about a lot. But the first person you got to start with is yourself. And this is coming from, like I said, I only listen to people that live longer than me. You get what I'm saying? Today, when you take information from people that's younger than you, a lot of times they coming from, how they people taught them, or whatever the case may be, and who knows if they people taught them the proper way. They only teaching them their way. Sometimes you got to get to it. You got to you got to take the class until you pass. That's the thing. You got to take the class until you pass. You know what I mean? Me growing up, my mother didn't fight. She didn't fight like that. She didn't fight for me like that. And she shouldn't have, because there was no reason for me to be rebellious. But then there was a lot of reasons, because I was conflicted as a kid. You get what I'm saying? So this boils back to mental health. This boils back to getting rid of that book bag full of shit. Book bag. It's like it's like shit. You got to get rid of that waste. You feel me? And once you get rid of that waste, things start to fall in place. You can shit better. Once you get rid of that waste, every time you eat something, it's going to flow. You feel me? So, yeah, man. I really want to let y'all know a lot more about me, but I'm going to slowly ease it in there. Give you a lot more about me, let you know how I grew up. I played ball growing up. Ball was my life. Ball was my outlet from being conflicted as a kid. So ball wasn't really something that I was the kid that if I couldn't make I wanted to be the only girl to make a basketball sneaker. I felt like Jordan made one. Why can't I? So I fell back from the sport because I just was like, man, I knew we didn't have the same rights. And another thing I got an issue with that I'm going to talk more about is just women looking like we disposable. Are we disposable to the world? Like, it's so crazy. It's like things can happen to us and it's just like, oh, it just happened. It always happens, but women aren't disposable. And I'm looking at all the beautiful women in the world. You are not disposable. You are loved. You get what I'm saying? If it wasn't for us, come on. It take a village to raise kids. You get what I'm saying? It take a village to do a lot. You get what I'm saying? But I'm starting to, and I'm also starting to feel like the elderly is becoming disposable, which is so weird to me because considering they're the ones that paved the way for us, why aren't we putting them higher? Why aren't we treating them better? And when I say better, in these nursing homes, why are we letting these different people that are just coming to get a check and don't have a heart for it? You can't possibly tell somebody to become a CNA or become this and not have a heart to these things. Like, that don't even make sense. So how would you know the compassion and how would you know how to handle these people? You know what I mean? If you don't have a heart, you got to have a heart. It can't just be about the money, you coming in, you clocking out, and you leaving. That's fucked up, especially for these older people. Let me tell you something. With everything going on in the world, I'm a dasher. I do DoorDash, and I will say this right now. I treat all elderly nationalities right. That's what I was built up on. I can always feel when the energy is different. And when the energy is different, I know how to maneuver through it. You get what I'm saying? I would never treat anybody white different. Unless they treated me different. I would never treat anybody black different unless they treated me differently. I would never treat purple, blue, green, yellow, orange, brown. I'm not treating nobody bad. You know what I mean? Everything that's going on, It's like, man, it's like being in a playground. Like me growing up, I used to get bullied. I always was a tomboy. I did a lot of things the girls couldn't do. I hung out around the boys, the fly little boys I was fly too. So I hung around the little fly little boys, that the girls liked, but I wasn't interested in these was my homeboys. They actually was more amused at the fact that, man, they like, man, she could climb monkey ball, she could play ball, she could do this. See, the girls that used to bully me was fast. I wasn't a fast kid. I wasn't interested in that. You get what I'm saying? So, it's like, okay, the way this is happening to us right now, it's like being in a playground and you always getting bullied. Every time you come out for lunch, for recess, it's this one group of people that's always fucking with you. And you be so scared. Sometimes you eat your lunch in your classroom. I was that kid, but we gonna get more into that. You be so scared that you eat lunch in the classroom. You don't even really want to go outside, but outside is fun to you, right? You get to the point one day you just like, man, I ain't no fighter, but I can't take this. And you know your strength. Oh, no, you don't know your strength because you're a kid. You're a kid. You don't know you got to be out here fighting. You don't know you got to be out there with wolves. I was in elementary school having fist fights. I shouldn't have been having fist fights in elementary school. But it's just like, just like bullying. It's just like you bully for somebody for so long. After a while, it's like, yo, I'm not taking this shit no more. And in my case, I've experienced that bullying too. That's something else we're going to speak about too. Really, that's what made me a monster. Being scared. Sometimes being scared will turn you into a monster. You get what I'm saying? And I don't want to call myself a monster, but it give you that ape strength. You get it from being scared. Like growing up, me in elementary school, I remember, and I talk like this because people don't put these things out there. There are young kids that need to know how to maneuver through these things. You get what I'm saying? But me being a kid, out there, knowing that I had to protect myself, I knew nothing about protecting myself at the age of 10. Who's to say? Like, I didn't know that I had to fight in elementary school. I didn't know I had to have fist fights, and I didn't know I had to use my playground strength with an actual person. But I'm going to give y'all this story, right? And real fast before we get out of here, bro, because we got to get out of here. But I'm going to give y'all this story. I'll never forget. I was so scared of this girl. I went to Centennial, and this girl used to be on a bus. And I used to be so scared to come out of school when school was over. I think she was like on a bus, BOCES bus. And I was like, man, so scared. I'm talking about I would come home late. And I never forget one time I came home, I would wait till all the kids were off the school yard to walk home because I walked home. I waited till all the kids walked off the schoolyard, and then that's when I left because at this time this bus leaves. This girl is on there. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, I just don't want no smoke because I don't even know how I'm supposed to maneuver through this. I'm a kid, right? I get home, I never forget. My cousin Sadia, she said to me, she said, what took you so long? And how do you tell people you're scared? I'm talking to the kid, the kids out there in the world, how do you tell people you're scared? That's not even something you're comfortable with coming out your mouth. Boom. I told my cousin, man, this girl, she like, what? Next thing I know, next day, next day, I think, I don't know, it was just in the morning or it was afterwards. You guys knew I was scared, right? After school. I came home. I walked out to school and my cousin was there. And she like, where the girl at? I'm like, she over there on the bus. So we go on the bus and she like pointing her out. I'm like, she right there. Yeah. And Sadia was my protector growing up. You get what I'm saying? So I'm like, she's right there. She said, who, huh? And when I tell you, she threw like 4 punches, and they sound like bricks. She threw them at her. The girl was all over the place, and my cousin was like, yo, finish her. I had to be 5th grade, 4th grade. And then I finished her. But then when I noticed that, I said, oh, so that's how it worked. I said, so that's how it is with bullies. And, it always only takes you to, have those experiences to be able to express yourself. So after I seen that people that mouth ran like that and all those bullies, they was going through deeper shit. But that's what made me a monster. So I wasn't going to let nobody hit me. I wasn't going to let nobody make me that scared. I wasn't going to let nobody, if I get out of school at 2:45 and I'm getting home at 4 o'clock, it should only take me 20 minutes to get home walking. But I had those issues growing up. So fuck bullies. We ain't doing that. We don't do that. But on another note, get high, smoke your weed, try to get through this pandemic situation. Don't let this take over you, man. Oh shit. Yo, we out, man. Jesse J, man. Holla at me, man. Y'all already know. Hit the button at the bottom.